I'd like to, first of all, take up something that Di said, which is that digital literacy means different things to different people. I'd also like to take what Mike said and push it out a bit further, maybe even to kick it off the cliff. I would like to propose some different ideas about what digital literacy is. For example, part of my definition of digital literacy is knowing when to take one of these and do that. Now, why would you say that? Well, excuse me. A few weeks ago, a bunch of American cops got completely out of hand. And they pumped 100 bullets into a private car in a public place, and they killed an unarmed black man, which is a huge surprise. And some bystanders were injured as well. A young man in another car saw what was happening, so he whipped out his digital camera, his cell phone rather, and began to record what was going on. One of the cops saw this and broke away from his shooting party for a moment, came racing towards the young man, yelling and screaming and waving his gun and saying, "Give me your cell phone," which the young man did. The cop then threw it on the ground and stamped on it and beat it into smithereens. He then went back to shooting black people in the street. However, a couple of hours later, the video of those events was going viral on YouTube because the young man had the presence of mind to take out of his cell phone the digital media device on which it was recorded. The difference, I say, between the cop and the young man is digital literacy. A few months ago, in the Australian Navy, a young woman was having a sexual relationship with one of her co-recruits, and he thought it was a very funny idea to get his webcam to record the action and broadcast it to his mates. When she found out about this, she was not very happy. She went to her commander and complained about the dreadful breach of trust and privacy. He pretty much told her not to be such a bad sport and shoved it under the rug. So she shared her experiences on Facebook. Within a few days, her commander and his boss and his boss and his boss were on the public mat, caps in hand, looking down at their shoes and explaining how they were going to fix the problem of their appalling leadership. The difference between the young woman and the Australian Navy is digital literacy. About the same time, an English footballer called Ryan Giggs was having an affair with the presenter of a reality TV show. This was discovered by the media. They decided that maybe that was a bit more reality than they wanted to share with everybody, so they asked for some help from the British Supreme Court, which obliged by bringing down a, quote, super injunction against anybody publishing the facts. Within a few hours, 70,000 plus people on Twitter had turned that super injunction into a legal fiction. The difference between the British Supreme Court and Ryan Giggs' fan base is digital literacy. All across the Middle East and North Africa right now, nations are in turmoil as people try to shrug off a generation of violence and corruption and oppression. Now, it's been called the Twitter revolution. I don't think it is, but we've had revolutions for a very long time. In the old days, however, those revolutions required a core of intellectual and philosophical and operational leadership, surrounded by a cadre of activists who were prepared to take the message into the community. Now, all of those roles are being taken over by the use of social media, by the community itself using social media. And it's that takeover that I call digital literacy. So it seems to me that digital literacy is happening all around us, all the time, at an accelerating rate. And one of the big problems we face in digital literacy is, and I apologize in advance to anybody I may offend in this room, but is a lot of the people who are promoting the solutions to this digital literacy program. Digital illiteracy is thoroughly embedded in government, in business, in education, in health, in the not-for-profit sector. It's people who want those who are participating in the digital revolution to give up their benefits and come back and support the status quo. Revolutions break stuff. And the first thing they break is the status quo. And the status quo is represented by documents like spreadsheets and word processing documents. I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. Our biggest challenge in digital literacy is taking all of those organizations that I mentioned and moving them to a position where they can interact with, communicate with, and work with the community which is digitally enabled, in which they are currently trying very hard to swim, and in which they risk drowning. Anyway, that's what I think.
Thank you very much. Great food for thought.